More can be done by the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the World Bank to relieve heavily indebted small island developing states. This includes countries in the Caribbean. That is the gist of the study by Eurodad, the European Network on Debt and Development, a civil society group headquartered in Belgium. According to Yolanda Fresnillo, Policy and Advocacy Manager of Eurodad, most of these countries are heavily indebted due to the impact of the climate crisis on their economies.
So first, we realized that debt was growing quite a lot in small island developing states, and we wanted to look at the data, and the data definitely shows that there was a steep increase, particularly in 2020, but that was coming from already growing debts in the previous decade. That a lot of that debt comes from the impact of climate change. So countries having to invest in resilience and having to cover for the costs of reconstruction after a hurricane or flood affects impacts on their debt levels.
Ms. Fresnillo also argued that climate financing is insufficient.
The other thing that we found out is that climate finance is insufficient, and for instance, between 2016 and 2020, which is the last day that we have data for, seeds paid 18 times debt repayments than they received in climate finance. So it's impossible for those countries to actually really invest what they need to invest in climate resilience if they have to face these debt payments. The other thing that we concluded, we looked at the instruments, the tools, the frameworks that these countries have at hand to tackle this debt, and that they are insufficient, that the present debt architecture is not sufficient or fit for purpose to support the seeds in tackling both the debt and the climate crisis.
She's calling on multilateral groups like the IMF and World Bank to do more to assist with climate financing and debt relief. During the IMF and World Bank annual meetings held recently in Washington, D.C., Eurodad joined other groups, including an organization known as Jubilee, to protest in front of the offices of these two organizations to call for more to be done for small island developing states. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.